Howdy, folks. According to the thing, we're live. I am Charles Deering. This is Maker's Mashup. My website is woodenvisions.com, sponsored by Harnell Media, which is Steve Nealon. And I believe he's even got a, YouTube channel started. And real quickly, I wanted to update folks on we just had somebody drop out. Real quickly, I wanted to let people know that if you're looking for Halloween stuff, I don't have anything with the word Halloween in it, but right now I have skulls and stuff and reavers and stuff like that. There's a skull category on woodenvisions.com, and as of today, I've had ebooks out for a while, but I haven't advertised that. There's now, if you click on scroll saw patterns or something on woodenvisions.com, let me look and I'll let you know for sure. Because that's what we're doing here. But there's an ebook section. I have 14 ebooks. So if you're looking for a bargain when it comes to pricing, there's an average of 4 to 6 patterns per book, and you will see the amount of patterns in the book on the covers. There are 14 ebooks, and they are $14.95 each. And for 4 to 6 patterns, that's not terrible, in my opinion. So I hope you'll consider it. It's under its own category, under scroll saw patterns. It's a drop down. It'll be the second one down. So that's all I have to report that I can think of. And so I'm going to go down the line and have everybody introduce themselves again. Sponsored by Harnell Media, Steve Nealon. And we're going to start from my left to right. And we have Al Forte, and right before, Live Long and Prosper, right before I went there, I used to know where he lived. He lives in Odessa. Why can I never remember that? Go ahead.
It's in isn't it like down here somewhere, Odessa Woodworking and Maker Shop?
And yeah, that's probably why I didn't see it.
as hard as as long as it took me to get that in there. But anyway, you can find me on YouTube at Al Forte's Odessa Woodworking, and on Facebook, Al Forte's Odessa Woodworking, just for fun.
Awesome. All right, now Donna Presley of Donna Wood and Art out of Alabama.
Yes, I am. Donna's Wood and Art. You can find me on YouTube, Facebook, webpage, and here.
Much obliged, much obliged. Appreciate you being on. Same with you, Al. Mr. Gwinnett Woodworker Rob Austin out of Georgia.
You're blocked, not blocked. You're
muted. You're not blocked.
Oh no, I'm the only one that blocks people here.
Let me try with the mic on. Okay. My name is Rob Austin. I'm with Gwinnett Woodworkers, and I do not have my own YouTube channel. I got no interest in having my own YouTube channel. I'm on 2 million for Gwinnett. So if you want to see me, come see me. I don't know if you can see the card, but that's Gwinnett Woodworkers. And you can just find GwinnettWoodworkers.com.
And Gwinnett had some awesome videos. They're long videos, but if you're like me, number one, I'm sorry. No, I'm not going to dog myself this show. I am not sorry. If you're like me, be glad. What I mean is, if I'm interested in the content, I don't care how long a video is. And so some of Gwinnett Woodworkers videos are long, but to me, they're worth it. And you can learn a lot in different categories. And thank you for representing them as well as being on the show, Rob. And like you said, you're in Georgia. Jamie Page is across the pond. And anybody and a couple of their friends know who Jamie Page is. Go ahead, Jamie.
Well, thank you very much, Charles. I am Jamie Page. You can find me on YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram at JP Woodwork. You can find me on the Makers International podcast. And thank you to Mr. Steve Nealon at Harnell Media. You can now find me at jp-woodwork.com.
Another Harnell Media freak. And as a matter of fact, another Harnell Media freak, I believe, is Miter Mike. But he needs to change his name to Scroll Saw Mike because he's up and now. I'll say it every show, but this dude is a beginner, but you wouldn't know it to look at his stuff. It depends on who you ask. If Jamie's a beginner, but we'll go back to Mike. We'll go back to Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Jamie's stuff doesn't look as good as mine, so don't worry about it.
Oh,
my name is Michael Murray. I'm with Miter Mike's Woodshop. You can find all my social media links on my website. I'm also running a 2,000 subscriber giveaway on my website, Check it out.
I think. Congratulations. I'm creeping up on 5,000, but they keep coming back down after every show. Actually, right before the show, I lose 2 or 3. But anyway, stuff happens. Show's not about me. Mr. Paul Corliss, I never know why I say it that way, but he's in Michigan, and I'm getting his profile. There he is. Okay, Mr. Paul Corliss out of the Mitten State, Michigan. Tell everybody where they can find Joe Butt.
They can find me in the Mitten State of Michigan. No, I'm Paul Corliss from Paul's Messy Workshop. That's Paul's Messy Workshop on YouTube, Paul's Messy Workshop on Instagram, paulsmessyworkshop.com, and Paul's Messy Workshop while I'm sitting here on the Charles Deering Show.
The Charles Deering Show. I appreciate that. And it's still, even when he cleans his shop, he's still going to be Paul's Messy Workshop. We've established that.
That's right.
Next, we have one of our former guests, as was Jamie Page and Miter Mike. We have Portal Woodworks, Dave Jones. David Jones, however the heck you want to say it.
I'm David Jones, Swainsboro, Georgia. Portal Woodworks. You can find me on YouTube under Portal Woodworks, Twitter, Instagram under the same thing, and also sponsored by Harnell Media.
Hi, baby. We're having a Harnell Media mob meetup, baby.
Right.
Oh, go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry if I interrupted you.
Good to go.
Okay, thank you. Real quickly, I forgot to mention, unless I'm incorrect, I believe Harnell, don't screw it up, Charlie. It's your sponsor. Harnell Media specializes in making websites for makers. So hopefully that gives somebody all some incentive. I don't know if it's limited to makers, but I think that's his main forte. That was not a segue into Al Forte. It's just an irony. Sorry, Al. And next we have our beloved Russ Meadows here in the state of Texas near Beaumont, getting flooded out, or was.
Mm-hmm.
Tell everybody where they can find your sexy butt. So sorry I said that.
Me too.
But your audio is good. Go ahead.
Y'all can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and
I spoke too soon. You locked up on us, Russ.
come on.
Now you're back. Now you can talk. I'm
Y'all
not
didn't hear
messing
any
with
of
this. No, I'm afraid not. I'm not messing
All
with
right.
it.
Rusty Nails Woodshop, Facebook, Instagram, a smidgen of YouTube. That's where you can find me.
Now, what are you always supposed to say when you say Rusty Nails? Do I have
With
to
a
tell you?
Z.
With a Z. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get on the Harnell bandwagon. It looks like
The Harnell Media bandwagon, by God. He's a good feller, but boy, he's got a whole bunch of websites under his belt. And my website alone is asking a lot of that man. He has put a lot of hours into that. And I know most of the people on this panel know that because stuff, but he's able to keep up with everybody's sites. And, something goes wrong, he's on it. I mean, even while he watches these shows, he's monitoring websites and servers and this and that. And real quickly, I am Charles Deering, woodenvisions.com. Ebooks are now on there, or have their own page, $14.95. That's pretty good. Sponsored by Harnell Media. Not that I haven't said that enough, but we're going to go to our sweetest, newest featured guest, Mr. Steve Tywdell. He's an Englishman stuck in Ireland.
Hello. How are you?
Just
How is everybody doing? Thank you for having me on, Charles.
Thank you for being on, sir.
Howdy, panel. How are you all doing? Yeah, I am Stephen Tywdell, or Steve Tywdell, as I corrected Charles. Even though it's spelt Stephen, I like to be called Steve. It's only Mammy that calls me Stephen. You will find me Templeboy Turn-ins anywhere across anywhere. Just type in Templeboy Turn-ins, and I'm the only person that exists with that name. So Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. I'm also one half of Rob and Steve Uncut and Live on Saturday nights. And yeah, that's it. I do.
Do you want to give the time zone and in relation to the world?
Yes. So I am in British Standard Time. Is it British Standard Time, JP? Yeah. Yeah. So right now, if you want to do a time check, it is 1:45 in the morning.
It is 7:43. It's 7:45 here.
We are
PM Central Time.
Work out your time differences.
Me and Steve are both 5 hours behind Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, so that would make me. Oh, never mind. I don't want to use both my brain cells. Steve, what Steve is going to do tonight is do a giveaway, so I'm throwing that out right now. From now until he says hot dog, I will ring a bell, and that will mean stop. Yeah, that wasn't near as loud as I'm going to do it. But what you need to do, whatever he makes tonight, you may say, well, I don't know what he's making, so I don't know if I want it. But trust me, you want something from him. I want it. Yeah, am I allowed to do this? No, let me be fair to the viewer. Let me be fair to the viewers. I'll get something special from you later.
No, but
I'll
tell you what I'll do, Charles. Whatever I make this evening, I will make another one similar and send it to you. How's that?
Oh, deadly. So if one cracks, that goes to the winner tonight, right? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Love you, buddy.
That's it.
Anyway, well, all you have to do, and this is going to test your typing fingers, you go to Templeboy Turnings competition at gmail.com, and all you have to do is write hi, whether it be in the subject line or in the body of the message. Templeboy Turnings competition at gmail.com. If you go anywhere else, that's the wrong email address. So I'll say it one more time. We don't even know what you're winning yet, but I'm looking at there like they can see me. I need to be looking at the camera. Templeboy Turnings, that's plural, Turnings at bloody heck, I said it wrong.
I've added it to the bottom of my name on the bottom third.
Okay, hopefully people can see that, but I'll say it one more time in case they can't, because it's a little bit blurry to me. Templeboy Turnings competition at gmail.com. All you have to do, start right now and type hi, H-I, not H-I-G-H, Katie.
It doesn't matter how it's spelled.
Okay, however you want to spell it, Katie, because Katie's trying to, yeah.
It depends on whether you're saying hi or whether you're high. It's up to
Say
you.
hi, hello, howdy do, anything except for something foul. There's a bunch of people in the chat I'd love to say hi to, but I'll lose track. So starting now until Steve says hot dog and I ring the bell, that's when the competition ends. No more. Yeah, thank you, Jamie, for putting his email address in the thing. I didn't know it would let you. So when you hear that bell, that means no more. Even if it comes 2 seconds after that bell, you were too slow. So that's a dig on people that show up late to the show because we don't want to spend the whole show, surfing through emails. And he will announce. I keep looking over here. He will announce the winners. He will announce the winner on the show tonight. So we'll know before the show's over. Do they have to be present to win? No, because you're going to do a random drawing probably.
Yeah, I'm going to do a random drawing at the end of the show. And if the piece... Thank you, Donna. Donna just emailed me. So if the piece isn't finished this evening, I will finish it, and I will then post it off to whoever wins it. So if we don't get time to complete it this evening, we may run on a little bit, Charles. But,
yeah, I don't mind if the show runs longer than an hour because I have fun with this stuff. If people lob off or whatever, we have more. I wish I could say hi to everybody in the chat, but it's going by too fast, and I don't want to leave anybody out. But if the show runs long, I'm okay with it. Anybody on the panel that doesn't want to hang out that long doesn't have to. Same with the chat. You won't be punished for it. Just banned from the show. Just kidding. But again, when you hear the bell, that's when no more emails can be sent. So send them all now. That's why I'm babbling, so you're not missing anything important. Because, yeah. So what are you going to turn for us tonight, or is there a name for it?
Okay, so yeah, it's just going to be a piece of wall art. So it'll be just something that you can hang up on your wall and look at it and think, "Wow, that's crap."
I thought that was a British word, but then I realized you said wall art. Okay,
wall art.
I thought it was a fancy kind of wood or fancy.
Wall art.
It's wall art over there. Come on now, it's wall decor or something like that.
It's wall art. Wall art. Yeah.
All right. Sometimes the accent throws me a little bit. But anywho, the show is yours, Steve. Just be nice. And I'm tickled to death that you're here on a serious note, and I've been wanting to get you on for a while. And I'm not even going to read what Jim Brashear just said. But because you know how these chats are. Anyway, go ahead and since not everybody has worked with a lathe, I don't mean to tell you how to do things, but if you're, I haven't seen every video you've done, but if you're able to, over the volume of the saw, let us know what you're doing, why you're doing it, how you're doing it, your thought process, unless you just want to show yourself doing it, however you want to do it.
No, so the way I'll do this is I'll do it how I would do it a demonstration. So I'll talk you through everything, and if there's any question, just fire them at me. I'll have my head set on, and I'll be able to hear you. So you just fire questions at me, and I'll answer them as I go along.
10-4, and his camera will be aimed at the lathe, so that Templeboy Turnings banner will not be in the way, as you can see now, unless there's a lag.
And I do have control of the camera. I can zoom in and out. So if people can't see it, then just tell me what you want. And
I'd loved it zoomed in, but I'll definitely go by the feedback. Does anybody want to take over the outside chat, or do y'all want me to monitor it since he's going to be turning and whatever?
I don't mind watching it if you want.
All right, Jamie Page will be in charge of the chat. He will slap y'all into the line.
I've seen Steve turn enough. I've had enough of it, to be honest with you.
My God.
That's only because he's jealous.
Okay, so for starters, what kind of lathe is that?
Okay, so this is a SIP lathe. We have a company called SIP in the UK, and this is a lower budget lathe, so it'll be similar to
Harbor.
It's a MIDI benchtop lathe as well.
Okay.
And it's got 3 belts, but it is variable speed. So or 3 settings for a belt.
It looks
and in the
digital.
low speed, it is digital,
okay,
but it also has a belt that you change over. So on the low speed, it's 500 revs to 1300 revs. Mid range is 950 to 2600, and then the high is 1250 to 3500. I've constantly got it set on the mid range, so that does me for what I need.
Okay, and that probably does differ from other people that do it full blast, or I guess it depends on what you're
exactly
doing.
Yeah, so your higher speed would be more with a lathe like this, would be more for small projects like pen turning and bottle stoppers and duck calls and stuff like that. You turn at a really high speed. The mid range that I have would be for bowls and doing goblets and most other projects.
Okay, real quick.
And you lower.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I was trying to catch you.
Carry on.
Sterling, if you can repeat your question. Jamie just started watching the chat, so if you don't mind repeating that, whatever question you had, and go ahead, Steve.
Okay, so this is the piece of wood that we're going to work with. It's going to be 8 inches in diameter, and I think it's 3/4 of an inch thick. Let me just measure it.
Real quickly, what type of wood is it? It looks.
Yeah, it's 3/4. I think, I'm not 100% sure. It's a piece of mystery wood, but I think it is sapele or something like that.
All right.
So all we're going to do, like I say, it's going to be a wall hanging. So it'll be a front-faced piece. It'll be very similar to like a dish or a bowl, but I might turn it really thin and do some piercing or something like that. We'll just see how we go. All right, so we're going to whack on with it now, just so we can get started. So what I've got here is I have a chuck on my lathe, and then in the chuck I have what they call a steb center.
Okay.
And a steb center is a solid center, but then you have a sprung-loaded pin in the center, and then you have a lot of teeth around it, so it grips hold of anything that you push up against it. And now you can do this with a faceplate, but to save time this evening, rather than messing about screwing a faceplate and all that stuff, I'm just going to turn between centers, and I'm going to get I'm just going to turn a mortise on one side and then reverse it and put it on the chuck. But you'll see me doing all that kind of stuff in a second. I'll explain it as I go along. Now I'm just going to wind my tailstock out. Is the picture all right for the lathe, by the way? It's all
to me, it's crystal clear. If you go in slightly closer, it wouldn't bother me. But
yeah, well, when I start turning, I'll move it closer so you can see the tool. At the moment, I'm just showing how it's how we're setting it up on the putting the piece on the lathe. Okay.
You actually know what you're doing, or you're just winging it?
I'm just winging.
God, I'm muddy.
So
I've
you've
never done this before.
That.
I can actually show you a piece that's that this is going to be similar to. If I just do this very quickly, now you're going to get a bit sick to start with. But if I just see that there, That is actually a memorial piece I turned for my father when he passed away. So that's kind of the idea of what we're going to do this evening. That's like a wall hanging there. Okay.
Okay, we do have a question from Jim Brashears, but I will let Jamie ask it.
Okay.
If Jamie's there.
Has Jamie
Off
disappeared?
mute. Off mute, Jamie.
Get your act together,
Okay.
Jamie.
In case Jamie had technical issues.
No, it's how large of a piece can your lathe hold? Sorry.
Okay, so yeah, no. I can put a. I think it's. Yeah, so I can turn a 12-inch diameter piece on this maximum size, which is quite good for a MIDI lathe. In fact, it's really good for a MIDI lathe. A lot of MIDIs you can only get maybe a 10-inch diameter maximum on it. So you can all see that, okay? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good. Right. So I'm using my large. You get 2 tool rests with this. I'm using the large 12-inch one. This is a 6-inch tool rest. I'm just using the large one at the moment because I may have to turn the tool rest to the side so that the piece isn't hitting on where it fixes to the bed of the lathe. So I have tightened that up and got it between centers. It's running quite true. When you're working with a variable speed lathe, always check that the speed is turned right down before you initially turn it on, because it can get a bit scary if you don't.
Now, is that lathe bolted to your bench? I mean, I know some people prefer to bolt it.
It is.
Okay.
It is bolted to the bench, but the bench isn't bolted to the wall. It is bolted to the bench, but it's not a great bench.
Okay. I understand completely.
Okay, so we're going to be using, this is a bowl gouge that I'm using, and the difference between, I'll show you quickly just before we carry on. I'll show you the difference between a bowl gouge and a spindle gouge, if I can find my spindle gouge. Okay, so can you see those two there?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it looks to be a, yeah, go ahead.
Right, let me do this, that might help. There you go.
Very nice.
So the difference is that the flute, as they call it here on the 2 tools, your bowl gouge is a much deeper flute, and it's more like the best way to describe it is like a half a pipe. If you've cut a pipe on a half, across its midsection, it looks like that, and then your spindle gouge is a lot less of a curve, so it's a lot easier to control.
Yeah, it looked like one of those had a more of a steep angle from the tip to the.
Yes.
Okay.
Well.
Okay.
Yeah. So the bevel on your tool is entirely up to you. What you're comfortable with. I won't even get into bevels because there's so many different. The one I have there is the Irish grind. So.
All right. The Irish grind sounds fancy.
Irish grind. So we're just going to start off at the lowest speed. So that's running at around, that's just under 900 revs a minute there.
Awesome.
And we're going to just start. And my tool rest is just off center. We're just going to
off center.
turn this
Okay.
around.
Your audio and video is 100%. I'm loving it. It's perfect for the show.
Cool. Okay. I'll just bring the camera down just a small amount so that you can see the tool in action at the side there. Now, obviously, the more round we get, the faster we can start spinning it.
Yeah.
Now, this lathe is it's getting tired. I've had it for 2 years, and it's done a lot of work. So occasionally slip, and it needs a new belt. I need to give it a service, but it'll do what we want this evening. And as I take more off and get rounder, the vibration reduces, and I can turn the speed up as I work. Now, there's a lot of ways you could fix this piece to the lathe to work on it. You could, if you don't have a faceplate, you can just make yourself a glue block, and you could glue this with hot glue.
And you said essentially, besides being wall art, it's going to be like almost like a plate.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see as you go, but okay. Does anybody on the panel have any questions?
Now to check, just check to see is this round. If you place the tool on the top of the piece, if it bounces, then obviously you've still got corners and edges that's making the tool jump. If it runs smoothly, then you're round.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got a question, Charles. For him. He said he used about 900 revs or RPMs, but is that because the piece is so big? I mean, if it were smaller, would he speed it up, or would there be what would be the reason for going to 900 and not?
Okay, it would depend on the shape of the wood and how well balanced you have it on the piece. So the best way I can describe it and have done to students and to other people is, if you can imagine you're taking your car and getting the balancing done on the wheels. If you don't balance the wheels properly on a car, when you drive down the road, it's going to wobble like mad the faster you go.
Oh, yeah, I found that out the hard way a few times.
Yeah, okay. So to balance the piece, the way we work here, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's perfectly round. Because if you've got a perfectly round piece of wood, and there's a knot to one side, obviously a knot in a piece of wood is a lot heavier than the rest of the wood.
Yeah.
So you could have a piece perfectly true and round, but it will still cause the lathe to wobble because it's weight. So the speed completely depends on you want to spin it the fastest you can with the least amount of wobble when you're turning.
Okay, Jamie, do you want to grab Donna's question?
Yeah, it says, I've got some walnut and I've had it in my shop for about 15 years. Is it still okay to turn when I get the courage to turn a bowl?
Yes. The only difference is it'll be very much like this piece of wood. Because this piece of wood is as dry as it's ever going to get. Obviously, the drier the wood gets, the harder it becomes.
Yeah,
most woods anyway.
My lack of
Not
professional
like
opinion on that is if it doesn't have a bunch of cracks in it. I mean, because the cracks can catch, and that's, I mean, you probably back me up and further elaborate on that.
Yeah, exactly. So if you've got a piece of wood and it's large enough that you have spare, maybe cut a section off of it and make sure that it doesn't have anything like ring shake. Ring shake is if a tree's been really, really vigorously shook and badly damaged by wind, it causes all the grain to crack right down through the center of the wood. And that is a piece of wood that you never want to put on your lathe, because when you start spinning it at high revs, it could just disintegrate in front of you.
Donna wants to, sorry, Jamie. Donna wants to know if she's stabilized before she tries.
It really depends on the wood. It really does depend on the wood, because some woods you'll really get away with it because it just basically because it's solid wood. But I mean, did she say it was walnut?
Yeah,
walnut's
did, yeah.
a good.
Yeah,
walnut's a good wood to. Walnut is a really, really nice wood to turn, as long as it's in good condition.
I believe it's got wax on the ends. Like it's been stored for like 15 years. It's about 3 inches thick, I think. They're like, or maybe 6 inches, and then about 3 inches thick.
Yeah, the best thing you can do is just put it on the lathe, turn it at a slow speed, get it round, and see what it looks like underneath the,
Thank you.
the top.
Yeah.
But turn it slowly and turn it safely is the best thing. Yeah.
OJ Woodworking perhaps wants to know what chuck is that. Okay, am I falling into an inside joke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody hell!
I can tell you that it's not my easy chuck.
Okay, what joke did I miss?
It's something that happens over on Carl's Twitch stream. Every time he does something with his chuck, which is an easy wood chuck, one of us or someone in the Twitch asked him, "What chuck is that?" And it got down to it being Steve's chuck.
Okay, so I'm just the messenger, and I apologize publicly to Pet Lover. I did not know who you were and that you were friends, so I apologize for calling you out publicly.
And speaking of that, a bit of advice from Pet Lover. He suggests that you should take the marbles out your mouth so you don't sound so funny.
I feel so bad now that I know who it is, man. I just thought we had a troll, and I was gonna trying to stop it before it got going. I'm so sorry, Pet Lover.
And a question from Mike. Do you like carbide tools?
Okay, I don't dislike carbide tools.
How's that for an answer? He tolerates them, I guess.
So I've just seen that this piece of wood that I've got here is actually a really well jointed piece of wood. So it's actually 2 pieces of wood that have been jointed. You can see, I don't know if you can see it there. Can you on camera? So it must be like a piece of tabletop or something that someone's given me, but still it's a nice piece of wood. Carbide tools. Okay. Without opening a huge can of worms. They're okay for beginners. They're really nice tool. Yeah, the actual carbide tools, and I'm not talking about hollowing tools. I'm on about just your basic square carbide and round carbide scraper tools are brilliant.
Time is up on the emails. Go ahead. Sorry, I got to play with my bell.
So.
Time you can no longer submit emails for the contest. All emails that have been brought in that's it. Go back to you, Steve. I didn't know the right time to do it, so I just did it.
Oh well, you could have let it go for a bit longer. Jesus.
Okay, fine. So Steve says I have to 5 more minutes. That will mean make it approximately. You know what the hell 5 minutes is.
Yeah. So if they're just your basic scrapers, they're okay for beginners. But now you could use them. You can use them for as long as you want, and they're fine going right through turning. But I would suggest, and I don't think Jamie would disagree with this, I would suggest that you go on to traditional as soon as you can afford them, or as soon as you think you are ready for them, because you can do a lot more with traditional tools than you can with carbides. Because carbides are just scrapers.
They're just scrapers at the end of the day.
Yeah,
exactly.
To be honest with you, I got into scrapers. I got into carbides because I was impatient, and I bought a lathe and I just wanted to start turning.
That's exactly what I did.
I don't regret it. Not at all. I just wish I had the money to get a decent set, and I didn't, and I wanted to turn.
Now, when it comes to I'm sorry, I thought you were done talking. Go ahead.
No, now I'm done.
Okay, I'm done. Anyway, if you want affordable carbide tools, go to Tommy G's workshop or TommyGWorkshop.com. He has many mid-size and full-size carbide cutting tools, and I highly recommend him. TommyGWorkshop.com.
Okay, yeah. Steve, I'd have to look at the other way for you talking about your tools to start off with. I disagree with using carbide tools. You're not going to learn how to use skew, your turning tools, all your different things if you don't know the basics. And you have no basics when you're using carbide tools. You know, they're great for scrapers, and I like them for segmented work. For regular turning, if you're starting off somebody, I would not start them on a carbide tool.
No,
I respectfully disagree. I started off with carbide. Go ahead.
No,
That's why you're a scroll sawer.
Okay, you got me on that one. Back to you, Steve.
If someone came to me and said, "Okay, I want to start as a brand new turner and I want to start turning," I would say, if you can afford it, get traditional tools. Yes, I agree with that. But if they can't afford it and all they can afford is just a cheap, because at the end of the day, carbide tools are a lot cheaper than traditional tools.
Yeah.
Okay. But not only that, I think it's more important to learn control of the lathe, speed of the lathe, presentation of tool. You can learn presentation of tool with a carbide. You can learn what it feels like going through the tool, your stance and all that. And they're all the basics that you need to learn before moving on. Now, if you can get traditional, by all means, I went straight to traditional. I never got carbides. But I have got carbides because I like using them to stop the table from wobbling. But with carbides, you can get turning straight away, is what I'm saying. Do you know? Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to clean up the front, what will be the back of the piece, which will be the piece against the wall, and I'm going to put a recess or a mortise in the back, not a mortise, yes, a mortise in the back, so that we can reverse it and put it onto the chuck. And I'm turning at a really high speed now. I can turn this at I'm up on nearly 2,000. I am on 2,000 revs there. So.
Okay, 1 more minute unless Steve objects. 1 more minute on the emails.
No, that's fine. Yeah. And I'm just using what they call a pull cut, which means that I'm using the flat part of the blade. I'm holding the bottom wing of the blade. I'm holding the tool at roughly 40 degrees, and I'm just pulling the tool backwards, and that's just scraping away the surface. And now I'm just going to go into the center and roughly guess. My chuck holds best at 50 millimeters or 2 inches. And what I mean by saying it holds best, you want your chuck to be as close to round when you're holding a piece as possible. Because obviously a chuck is a circle that's been cut into 4. So the more you open it, the less round it gets because the jaws are expanding out.
All right.
Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah, to me it does. Real quickly, Jeff Robinson wants to know color or no color. And Sterling, I'm just going to ignore most of your questions.
To use color or not use color?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I would use color when the time was right. I would never use color on a really beautiful piece of wood.
Yeah. Now I love Sterling to death, but I think he's having fun with questions. So that was not a public dig like I did to Pet Lover. And again, I'm very sorry. But anyway, back to you.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Pull my. Yeah. So yeah, color. Yeah, only if the wood isn't really pretty. I will only use color. I will only use color if it makes the piece better.
Yeah, and I've seen examples. I can't think of any right offhand. That can make it pop, especially if the color is transparent. If you completely cover up the wood, it almost defeats the purpose, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I'm just using what they call a parting tool here, which is just a diamond-shaped piece. You'd use that normally for cutting a piece off the lathe.
Yeah.
But it's good for getting a nice crisp edge. And I've gone in probably around about 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to get my skew, which everybody is afraid of. Even Carl Jacobson. I'm going to use a smaller one, actually.
I'm afraid of all of them, so I use carbide. Sorry, Rob. I tried traditional tools. I could not get them to do what I wanted, but carbide, I guess, is user friendly for a beginner. That's just my opinion.
Well, traditional people don't like because they're not sharp. They're junk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You definitely got to be disciplined on sharpening traditional tools.
Actually, the carbide is great, but you only have to use them at certain times. I mean, I worked on this yesterday, and I needed carbide. But 90% of the time, I use the standard tools.
Hey, but isn't the key to the tools being sharp, whether they're traditional or carbide? I mean, that's what makes them work out real well, because you can have some real dull traditional ones. And
yeah, and not to insult you, but I think that's kind of a given. But I think people that use traditional tools will tell you that they have more variety of what you can do with them, because they aren't just scrapers, which essentially is what carbide are.
Yeah, carbide's going to be square or round. You're not going to be able to go to a sharp point. Well, they do have carbide going to points now, so
yeah.
Yeah. Sharp tools are the key with any tool you're using on the lathe. Everything has to be as sharp as you possibly can get it. Now, sharpening systems are really expensive.
Oh yeah, I have the Wolverine sharpening system, and you can get that on Amazon, by the way. Real quickly, Jamie, I don't want to keep stealing your thunder, so there's a question for you, there's a question out in the chat.
What is easier to turn, dry wood or green wood?
Green wood, but you have to be patient with it.
Yep.
Because you can only turn it to a certain point, and then you have to leave it to dry.
That's why I can't do that. I cannot do that. I'm too impatient.
You can't finish a piece of green wood because it will move. Well, unless you want it to warp and crack. Some artists, I've done it myself. You turn some green wood.
Look really cool.
Yeah, it'll warp and it'll bend and it'll crack and it'll look cool. Crack straight down the middle, and you lose your piece. And
yeah, Steve, I apologize when I interject with my opinions, but the I see all these people with bunch of blanks on their shelves, having to wait years to do anything to them, and I'm just one of these instant gratification people. That's why I could not sit there and let a bowl blank that was partially turned sit on a shelf for years when I could be making something out of it,
Yeah, I get it. I'm an impatient turner too, and I don't turn much green wood. Now that's got a slight wobble on that because when I turned the mortise on that, I just caught the edge of the wood. But I'm really not worried, because what I've got to do now is I've just turned that round and I've put it into the chuck. This side here is going to be the finished face. Okay. But before we can finish that face, I've got to put another mortise in this, turn it round and completely finish the bottom so that we've got the tailstock out the way. The whole idea of doing that was so that I can take this tailstock away and it's not in my way anymore, and I can work on the piece without hindrance.
Now, for beginners, if you don't mind elaborating on the difference between a mortise and a tenon when it comes to that chuck.
Okay, so a mortise is an innie and a tenon is an outie.
That was a very good way of putting it.
Like a belly button.
Yeah, exactly.
Since Jamie missed it, I'm going to do this one. How much of the heart should you cut out of a log when making bowl blanks?
Take the pith completely out.
Yeah.
So
tip off.
Yeah. So I'll do this quickly for you if I can find. Yeah. So if
you stand there and insult the log.
Yeah.
Insult the pith out of it.
So if this is your log, like this.
Very artistic.
Okay. If this is your log, you can imagine that laying on the floor. Okay. Whatever your width is of your log, you want to work out the same in length. from here to here, so whatever the width is, you cut it. Your pith is going to be running through here, okay?
Yeah, the pith is the
You cut
center
it.
of the log.
Yeah, you're going to cut it down there and down there, and that will give you 2 bowl blanks, this side and this side. Okay?
10-4.
So you've got 1 bowl here, 1 bowl here, and you get rid of that center because that is where it cracks.
Is there ever a good time to make a project with that pith involved? I feel like I have a list when I say that, but
Yeah,
Go ahead.
a lot of goblets have the pith in them still,
Okay.
and a lot of spindle work have the pith in them, but it has to be dry because, like I say, they do move and crack and
Yeah.
warp. So we're going to do the same again here now, and we're going to run
And
the blade
sorry, Sterling
and
just
clean the face off.
made a good point as well about painting it with latex paint and
Yeah.
the end grain.
Yeah,
Stop moisture.
exactly. Yeah, so new fresh wood. You cut your blanks, and then you completely cover any bare wood. You leave the bark on if you can, and any bare wood that you see that's not the bark, cover it with latex paint or wax or what's the stuff that you melt, JP? Can you remember?
A wax, beeswax.
Yeah, no, it's not. No, it's not a wax. It's petroleum something. I forget what it's called.
Not Vaseline.
Petroleum jelly.
No,
Sorry,
I remember.
Jamie said
remember it in a
Vaseline, so that's where I went.
Jamie's always thinking about Vaseline.
Yeah, but yeah, no. Now you mentioned wax, and obviously a cheap alternative is what Sterling said, and that is to seal the wood so it moves as little as possible while it's drying.
Yeah, so you want any wood that you have to dry as naturally as possible. So if you cover all areas but the bark with a wax, it will dry out through the bark.
Yeah,
and it will dry slowly. If you were to cut a tree down now, you'll be able to turn a finished bowl from it in around about 2 years' time.
Oh, see, I cannot wait that bloody long. Sterling Davis is calling it paraffin wax.
That's it, paraffin. Yes, thank you, Sterling.
Thank you, Sterling.
Thank you, Sterling.
Come on.
He's a Sterling chap.
Come on, panel. Say thank you, Sterling.
Thank you, Sterling.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sterling. I feel like we're at a Turner's Anonymous meeting.
So I'm not too worried about this front face being supersonic at the moment. Finished. I just want to get an area flat that I can put another mortise in, so that we can completely finish the bottom.
Okay. I went ahead and showed the panel since they're not in the way of the turning.
Using the parting tool again, this time I can get in nice and square because my tail stock isn't in the way.
Okay, and Jim Dockrell is saying you can find paraffin wax all over now because it's harvest and canning season. That's a good point.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if I
sorry.
should. Go ahead.
Go on. OJ said about kiln drying.
Yeah, you can kiln dry. You can make your own kilns out of old fridges and freezers.
Yeah, which Cole Jacobson has actually got a video on that.
Yeah. And it's basically just a fridge or freezer, chest fridge or freezer that you've fitted just a light bulb heater. You're like a low wattage bulb that just puts a small amount of heat. You don't want too much heat because as soon as you introduce a lot of heat, it will just crack. The wood that you put into it will just crack. So you want to...
go on.
Sorry, JP, go on, yeah.
It's basically essentially the same things as what you cook them. Is it biltong? It's essentially the same things as what you cook that in, but you put wood in it instead.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I have a modified, this is what I call a modified flat scraper. And what I've done is it's got your normal square blade at the front, but I've also sharpened along one edge. so that when you're doing hollowing work, you can use that edge at 45 and clean quite deep with it. So that's a modified scraper. And the good thing about that is that it cuts on both angles, so you get a nice right angle, clean cut. And I'm going in my skew, and because my chuck is a dovetail chuck, which means that the jaws are angled to hold onto the piece a lot better, I have to go in and make a dovetail. And there you go, that will do for that. And now we can take it back off and reverse it around and completely finish what will be the piece that's against the wall. So it doesn't have to be too fancy, just flat.
All right.
Any more questions? How are we doing?
We're doing great.
Where did Templeboy come from?
JP.
Yeah.
That's where that came from. Basically, obviously, it's an extension of my name, but because I am a member of the Cacao Army,
bloody hell.
we decided that I needed my own catchphrase.
Ron Norris wants to know that. I'm sorry to interrupt. Ron Norris wanted to know if the jaws are angled to hold the piece, but you have okay.
Yeah, so they are angled. If you can imagine my skew there, they are angled. If that was this outer jaw, they are angled like this, so that when you pull on that will not come off. It doesn't matter how hard you pull on that piece, it will not come off the chuck because it's actually gripping inside and pulling it back. Some of the chuck, if you're going to buy a chuck, I would say get a dovetail chuck because they hold the piece a lot better. Okay, so we are going to clean up.
And of course, Sterling wants to know boxes or briefs.
Boxes.
And Jim Dockrell said it the way you were trying to explain it is the chuck has a dovetail built in around it. Basically, yeah, like that's why it can't come out unless you got punk wood on there or skunk wood or whatever you call it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and never mind. I think Ron Norris was aiming his comment at me, and I'm confused now because that's not hard to do. But back to you, Steve.
Okay. So, has anybody just recently started turning that would have some questions? Maybe they're doing things wrong, or are they struggling with anything that I might be able to help them with?
Is anybody in the chat struggling with anything besides comedy?
Can you recommend a good abrasive paste?
Oh, good God. Plug.
Funny you should say that, JP, because Yorkshire Grit is a great product.
Oh, my
Yorkshire
God. So subtle. Oh, that's funny right there. Okay.
Was that shameless commercialism that
that was complete segue into a hey, look, Yorkshire Grit. No, but Yorkshire Grit is a very good product, and
they actually sponsor myself and the podcast.
That's why I knew. That's why you plugged it.
And I will also say watch this space too when it comes to Yorkshire Grit.
Well, we're actually giving one away, some Yorkshire Grit on the podcast very, very soon.
And Makers International Podcast is on Sundays at what time? 4:30 p.m. Eastern?
Yeah, that's right. Live on the Makers International Podcast YouTube channel.
Sterling Davis is adding to your plug. Who sells it? Is there a link you can share to get Yorkshire Grit?
I'm sure JP can find a link there.
It's available. I think it's called the Wooden Log.
Walnut log.
Is it possible to put that in the outside chat?
Yeah, I'll post it over there. Yeah.
Can it be gotten in the USA?
Yes, it can be gotten in the USA, Canada. Where is it? New Zealand, I believe. Australia.
Yeah. Anybody not seeing, if you're not watching the show live, it's in the outside chat. So I'll just say it. It is Yorkshire. I'm saying it like it sounds, or it's saying it like it looks. Yorkshire-grit.com.
Yeah, it's there, Charles. I just went to it to look at it.
Oh, I know. I just meant when somebody's not watching the show live, they can't see the chat. That's why I repeated it.
True, I forgot about that.
Yeah. If you just click the appropriate flag of wherever you're from, it should take you to the distributor. I believe it's is it? Did you say the walnut log, Steve?
The walnut log, yeah, that's in the US.
Yeah, there you go.
In Ireland, it is available in the carpentry store, which is the carpentrystore.ie, I believe.
I assume y'all know what this means, but Jim Brashear says Moldova. Don't forget them. Is that another inside joke? Okay.
Yeah, there's a few places that they do as well.
You can get it in Canada from Woodsley Summercraft.
Yep.
You can, I believe, you can get it in Australia and New Zealand, but I don't know the name of the websites.
Is that similar to like the Triple E Alpha Shine, or how's it? Anything like that?
Yeah, it's nothing like it.
Okay. No, it's just like an abrasive paste. You sand up to 240 grit, put the paste on,
I'm just going to mute my mic. Just going to mute my mic because I'm going to turn on the vacuum while I'm sanding. Okay.
That's your same purpose for the Triple E Alpha Shine. It's like a really waxy paste, and it has a fine grit in it.
Is it? Oh, I've never tried that, to be honest.
Oh, okay, no problem. I was just looking at the site. I have to read up on it.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it seems to have taken off really, really well. This stuff. It goes really well with Hampshire Sheen High Gloss. They're kind of known as the partners in Shine. Which is Martin Saban-Smith's.
Well, when you have this, I'm sorry to interrupt, James. When you have this Yorkshire Grit and whatever else you were just talking about, does that eliminate any of the steps of sanding, or is it still part of the process?
You sand up to 240 grit, and that's basically it. Then you just put on the Yorkshire Grit and just work it in, and it's got beeswax, and some people just use Yorkshire Grit, and that's it. No other finishes.
Yeah, because Jim Dockrell is asking if you can sand to a higher grit instead of that.
You can carry on, but I believe he's actually just bought another one as well, which has got an even finer grit into it. You can go up to even higher with micro mesh if you want to.
Yeah, but, that's what I did.
Yeah, but I mean, with that, I think it goes up to like 2,000 grit.
The micro mesh?
No, with the Yorkshire Grit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. The Yorkshire Grit goes up to 2,000. So they recommend that you sand to 220 grit, and then you go from there with your Yorkshire Grit to a finish. So it cuts down a lot of dust from sanding.
Yeah.
And if you can find your 220 grit sandpaper, you could use that. But if you've put it somewhere and you can't find it, it's
Jim Brashears is saying, I wish someone in Hampshire would make a product.
Okie dokie, so 220 here. This is very dusty wood, but I'll take one for the team.
You said that you thought that was called sapele wood, or is it sapele?
Sapele, I believe it is. Oh, now, looking at it now, I'm wondering, is it, because it's so dusty, I'm wondering, is it mahogany?
I don't think it's sapele. Sapele, you have a chatoyance, like a shine reflection on it when you shine light, and I don't see that on there.
I'm thinking by the dust too that it could be really dry mahogany.
Katie Dodson wants to know, is there some issue with burnishing the wood if you go to a real high grit sandpaper? And Donna's Wooden Art, Donna Presley, says you can go to auto parts store and get up to 2,000 grit wet or dry sandpaper.
That's going to be a black type of sandpaper and does not work very well on wood.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Also, that obviously means you can go to back and forth with different sandpapers and things like that. This stuff, you just wipe the cream on. You just stand there with a clean tissue paper, just hold it on there, and you can feel the grit just rub into the wood, and you can gradually feel it doing its job, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I've never used Yorkshire grit, so I don't have a dog in the fight.
I don't know if I've got anything around that has got. I don't know. Did I use Yorkshire grit on that? I don't think I did.
Well, you're about to get a first-class demonstration of Yorkshire grit, so don't panic, people.
What's the liquid you're using on it right now?
Okay, so
methylated spirits.
this is what you would call denatured alcohol.
Oh, okay.
But it is denatured alcohol, but it has a coloured dye put in it, because in the EU, any liquids that could be consumed by someone with a addiction, it can be seen that what they're drinking. So if they're rushed to hospital or whatever, and it's purple, then they know that they've taken methylated spirit. That's
and it's sad that society has come to that, but I actually get that.
Yeah. So I just use that purely because it evaporates really quickly and it takes all of the sanded wood out of the grain, but it also raises the grain. Now I could put sanding sealer into it now, but I'm not going to, because this is really dry wood. And what that has just done is raise the grain. I can just feel the grain now, and the Yorkshire grit now that I'm going to use will work really well with it'll work really well with the grain raised. It'll smooth it right back to well, you'll see. What I'll do is I will bring the camera down for you folks here, and you can watch it work. Sorry, I'm going to make you a bit seasick at the moment.
It's okay.
There you go.
Oh.
Neato, man.
So that's what it looks like. It's just looks like a brown paste, and it has a mixture of different types of stone. It has rotten stone, pumice stone. What else? It has lemon oil, beeswax, mineral oil. Yeah, pumice and rotten stone. And the stones are all stone that are ground down to a fine paste, and they're what actually sand the wood, and they also break down to nothing and eventually just disappear. Now, what I would say, just because I'm in a rush, or not in a rush, but just because I'm trying to do this as fast as I can this evening, normally you would clean up your lathe and everything before you do all this, because you don't want the dust blowing back onto the piece and all that. So.
Sterling says he's glad you're wearing pants because that part of you is showing right now, but I'm not wearing pants, so we're still good. Now, is that the back side of the project?
That is the back side of the project, so I'm not too worried, but I'm just going to show you. So I've just put that on by hand, not too much of it, and we're just going to run that at about 900.
Of course, Sterling had to say TMI, but that's what I'm known for, Sterling.
And all you do is just
and you can see the reflection of that rag in there too.
Yeah, you can start. You can feel the stones that are in it. You can feel them just working on the wood, and you can feel them just slowly dissolving. And you just,
that is neat how you can see that reflection. And for those that don't know, if you're brand new to lathe turning, the reason why people use paper towels is because if it snags on anything, it rips. If you use a cloth rag or something, it can drag you with it and it won't tickle. So that's why people use paper towels.
Exactly. And that's why you'd never use steel wool or anything like that at the lathe either. Or if you do, you ball it up into a really tight ball that there's no loose ends sticking out that could catch. No jewelry, no rings. If you're going to wear gloves, at all, I wouldn't recommend it, but wear fingerless tight leather gloves that aren't going to have any loose parts.
Yep. And you don't want to wear a tie. Of course, most people
Definitely
don't dress
not.
up to be at the lathe.
If you're wearing a hoodie like I am, you tend to have strings.
Yeah.
I'll take them down here. These strings here, I always have them tucked inside the jumper as well when I'm at the lathe, so that they don't get.
Say, I wouldn't know how to continue the show if you beheaded yourself on there. Let's go to commercial.
Yeah, you just sit there laughing.
Well, not
Okay.
necessarily.
Okay, so that's, you could feel that, I can feel that that's quite smooth now. So what you do is you find a clean part of the cloth, bring the revs up quite high. I'm going to go, that's about 1800. And then you just burnish off. And what you want to do is you want to keep going until all the wax has gone off the cloth.
Oh, Dave Hart brings up a good point too. If you're listening to music or whatever with headphones, you want to be mindful of where that cord is hanging.
Yeah, and I'm not setting a very good example this evening because I am wearing a corded headphones, but my Bluetooth one was actually dead.
Well, yeah, you
and I
live
went to use it,
dangerously, so we'll accept it.
Yeah, exactly.
And thank you all for the ones that are sticking around to watch. I know we're going slightly long, but to me, it's worth it. I think we're learning.
Like
stuff.
I say, I'll what I'll do is I'll finish this piece anyway, and it'll be ready to ship off.
I take by the fact that you're wearing a hoodie, it's cold there, right?
Yeah, I'm wearing a hoodie, and I'm also wearing 2 sets of pants, as you call them, trousers, we call them.
So right now the wood is at what temperature?
We're actually quite mild at the moment, but we are expecting a storm on Monday. We're getting the back
really,
end of all the storms. But do you know what? I wouldn't even know what temperature the wood is, to be honest with you.
Well, where I'm really going with that is if the wood is colder or hotter, does that matter or affect it in any way? Or
I think humidity.
Not if it's staying. Yeah, humidity is the big factor. But if it's staying in, if the piece you finished is staying in the country, then you don't really have to worry about it. If it's going to another country, then you have to put a warning. When I send pieces across to America, I always put a warning on a box, in the box, saying that this piece could move or warp depending on your humidity. You can't control that. You can't control climate.
Now, Steve, we're only 10 minutes over, so don't worry about the time.
Okay.
I mean, I'm prepared to go 4 hours if I need to. Not that I think it'll take that long. I'm just saying.
So,
because I think majority, if not everybody's interested in what you're doing.
So this piece is now, that's near enough coming off clean now from the rag. So that's Yorkshire grit has done its job there. And when I turn that off, I think you'll be pretty impressed with how that's worked. Yeah.
Now, I know it's always different being in person than it is looking through a camera, but the fact that you can see the color change when you turn it and the fact you can see a reflection of the towel or the paper towel on the thing that tells you the shine.
You can see my hand in it too. Look.
That is gorgeous.
And that's before any finish on it.
And that's just the back side too.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to show you there. Obviously, I won't be demonstrating finishing the front, but yeah, I'll turn that round again now. That is the finished backside. The one thing I did want to just mention, if you're doing a piece that's going to be flat on the table or against the wall, when you're turning it, you want to turn a I've lost my train of thought now. So you want to take the center away and leave the outside proud. So if I've put a ruler in here, I'll move the camera back up above. So getting
that way it sits flat.
Yeah. So the outer rim is going to. You can see the shine there. Actually, you can see the bed of the lathe.
Absolutely, that is gorgeous.
There you go. So you can see that shine.
Concave, right, or convex?
Concaved, yes, exactly.
Yeah,
concaved.
I had to stop and think.
That's the word I was trying to think of. Exactly, yeah. So I'm just turning that round now, and I will put that back in the chuck around the other way, and then we can have some fun.
This makes me miss turning. I haven't turned in a long time.
You have a swivel chair, Charles. Just spin around.
Well, I have a wall behind me. That would kind of be counterproductive there.
If you have a scroll chuck like this one as well, and it has 2 anchor points for the chuck key, or some of them have 3, use all the anchor points for tightening it up. It's not because it holds it any better, but it's because you are reducing the amount you're using each one. If you use the same one all the time, you're going to wear it out a lot quicker. So,
good thing to know.
Okay, so now we can start having a bit of fun on doing some shape. I'll move the camera again in 1 second, just so you can see what I'm doing. I just wanted you to see what I was doing with the ruler.
Well, not to sound like I'm trying to be funny, but what makes it wall art versus being a plate is because you haven't gotten far enough to show.
Because it's on the wall.
Oh, John, I walked right into that.
It doesn't matter how hard you try. It doesn't matter how hard you try. If it's on the wall, there's no way it's going to hold your dinner.
I mean, come on, give me a little bit of credit here. I thought maybe that it was going to happen. Oh, never mind. I walked right into that. That was funny. It's on the wall, Charles.
Had to know that was coming.
Well, I mean, it was a sensible question, in my opinion. I mean, come on.
No, it was a really stupid question.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
You could always upset your wife. And
there are no stupid questions except for the one I just asked.
By the way, for those people that don't know me, I'm not backwards or coming forwards. I will say exactly what I'm thinking, so I'm not being rude. That's just the way I am.
Lucky me, because it's on the wall.
Yeah, that's what gets me in trouble too. I usually say what I'm thinking, and even though I don't try to be offensive.
That's why I'm no longer a member of most of the groups on Facebook.
Now, okay. Legitimately, Steve, I know you know why I asked that, because we don't see the finished product yet. So you said it was similar to a plate. That's what I was going off of when I said that.
Yeah. Well, basically, when I mean that it's similar to a plate, I mean it's round as well.
Okay.
Right here. So
I'm going to stop asking questions because I walked right into that.
Hey, that piece
so now we
like
can start.
Clock. Sorry to interrupt. I just sat there and looked at that.
Yeah, the way I'm doing this at the moment is exactly the same process as making a clock.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's on a wall.
Except now I can have some fun with the shape of it. So what I'm going to do now, on the very edge, I'm going to reduce down the thickness of the piece quite considerably, quite thin, because I will eventually and piercing on the edge to give it some nice effect. And when you're piercing and carving, you want it as thin as possible.
Now, Jim Duckroll is asking how thin a piece of wood can be cut, and I'm guessing right up till the point it breaks.
Okay, so I have a piece here. I'll just show you this quickly. That I turned. So this is kind of
really nice.
So that's just a tube. It's actually a piece I'm working on at the moment. I'm going to have a musical wind-up piece, but that is 2 millimeters thick, whatever that is in your language. But you can see it's very, very thin. It actually flexes like a toilet. It's about as thick as a toilet roll.
Awesome.
So that flexes.
Going off of that, Jim Dockrell was asking how thin can a piece of wood be turned, and I guessed out in the chat saying I would imagine it depends on the wood, because different woods are.
Yeah, and whether it's green or not, you can turn green wood really, really thin.
Yeah.
Hats, wooden hats, when they're turned out of green wood, and you can get them literally down as thin that a light shines through the wood.
Well, I would love to have a wooden cowboy hat, but my luck, it would dry out on my head.
Well, it was funny you should say that, Charles, because we've actually got a hat challenge going on at the moment on the Rob and Steve live show.
Oh man!
So you never know. The one that I make might just be your size.
Awesome.
So now I'm using the pull cut here, and I'm taking away a lot of wood.
Now, is there a reason for a pull cut versus a push cut? And I'm not trying to be funny.
Yeah, because you're on the flat of the wood.
Okay.
You can put a lot of pressure on it without digging an edge in. You're not actually using the edge of the tool, you're using the flat part of the cutter. So you can put as much pressure as you want onto that wood, and you can remove quite large amounts, or you can be as fine as you want as well.
Yeah.
And you're using your hearing as much as your sight and your sense of feeling.
Yeah.
Because you can really hear what that piece of wood's doing as it gets thinner and thinner.
And I know from experience you can feel every little imperfection in that wood too.
Yeah.
Although that one doesn't seem to have many imperfections.
No, and it's as hard as all hell. Now, when you are doing a thin piece of turning, you want to turn it, and you want to make sure that you've got it how you want it, and then move to the center of the piece, and never go back to that piece again.
Okay.
Because once the thin part's done and you start taking more wood away from the center, the more the wood's going to be flexible. So as soon as you come back out to the side again, one catch and the whole thing's just going to explode.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good point.
So are the folks bored yet?
Jamie is, but the rest of us aren't.
I'm not really worried about Jamie. I bore him every live show I do. So. But he is getting his own back on me every Thursday evening. Isn't that right, JP?
Yep. He's not there. Yeah.
Was he not? Oh.
No, he said BRB. Steve's boring me. LMAO. Obviously, had to go do something. But
oh, okay. Vicky must be calling. So the whole thing about freestyle turning is you just have fun and just do what you want until it feels right.
All right.
And then so I'm just tidying up that edge. Putting a bead on the edge. I'm going to turn it off and just check it. That's actually a lovely piece of wood at the side. You can see there's a lovely grain in there.
Now,
so at the moment there, I'm about 1/4 of an inch thick on the very edge there. I'm going to go down just a small bit more. And what will happen is I'm going to take a small bit more out as well. And it'll have a pierced edge all the way around, so the light will shine through it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then as we go to the middle, then I'm going to put beads and coves and things like that into it. Will I just carry on, or you're happy for me to carry on for another few minutes?
Absolutely.
Or? Okay. So like I say, I'm going to get this very edge to the thickness I want.
And don't go back.
And don't go back. And it is really tempting to go back, believe me.
Yeah.
So make sure you're happy with it.
You got to know Sterling Davis said Carl Jacobson would have been done by now.
No, he wouldn't. He'd still be in the sanding process and be going, do.
Isn't it Be-do or something like that?
No, Carl Jacobson is do. In fact, it wouldn't even be that much in tune. So now I'm going to go to my flat scraper and I'm just going to very lightly reduce that edge down. The reason why I've gone to the scraper is I can get a really good finish. Almost to the point that I can go straight to 220.
Now, have you ever made a move on the lathe where you kind of knew better but wanted to try it?
Sorry?
Like, for lack of a better way of putting it, have you ever gone to make a change on a piece you're working on and then thought better of it, but you still went ahead and did it and said, I really shouldn't have done that right before things go to hell?
Yes, at the beginning, yes, all the time. I messed up. I messed up probably nearly every piece I did.
Yeah, I was trying to impress myself with everything I turned, and that would happen.
Yeah. I can actually remember one day Steve done an entire project using only a skew.
Yeah.
That was quite impressive.
Yeah.
What do you make, a pen?
No, I can't remember what he made.
It's a goblet, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have about an inch around the edge in total it'll be thick enough for piercing and carving, and then the rest will be beads and coves and fancy stuff. And that wood gets really hot.
Yeah, I believe it was Rob Austin was saying, I bet that wood's really hot against his hand.
Yeah.
If I said Steve Austin, I meant Rob Austin.
Same thing.
Wasn't Steve Austin the Bionic? Yeah, was he Bionic Man?
Yeah,
that or Stone Cold Steve Austin, the wrestler.
I guess it depends how old you are, because I flashed back to the Bionic Man.
I did too.
Yeah.
Dave Hart wants to know what your full-time job is.
I am a special needs assistant. So it means that I work in a school with children with special needs. I work with autistic children.
That's awesome.
And I am the assistant to the teacher that is teaching them life skills.
That's awesome.
I think in third grade, I don't know, it might have been fourth or fifth. We went as our college, and it's certainly different, down that young. So hats off to you.
Yeah, it's a very rewarding job.
I'm sure it is, yes.
But yeah, challenging as well, and heartbreaking at times.
Yeah.
Just it's more heartbreaking because of the system that's letting them down.
Exactly. And
So,
the limitations against the system. Go ahead.
Exactly. So I've got that down to as much as I want there. It's about 3/4 of an inch. And now I'm just going to start doing some fancy beads and coves and things like that. I'm just going to touch up the blade with, I have this diamond card here, and I just touch up the edges with that.
All right.
so I don't have to keep going back and sharpening.
Jim Darkroll wants to know, is there a design in mind, or is it just winging it and developing as it goes?
This is a freestyle turning. Yep, it's just whatever I think looks right at the time.
And I think, you know, from my limited experience, sometimes the wood kind of speaks to you as to the way you want to try to work with it.
Yep. Most of the time it's saying, ah!
It's like, ow!
Do you by any chance have a face shield based on any scroll sawer, like, I don't know, Mike Murray by any chance?
I might have. One just up here. Funny enough, you should say that, JP.
I didn't catch what JP said. What did you say, Jamie?
He's got a face shield that looks like Mike.
That's funny. For those of you that don't know, that's a reference, Minion.
Minion.
Hello, Patrick's Workshop.
Does that light help there at all, or?
No. It casts a shadow, but it's I don't know that it was hurting without the light, but I don't know.
Okay, how's that? You can see you'll see whether you can see the beads or anything. So now I'm going to start making this purdy at the front.
Alrighty. And making it purdy, that's an American word.
Yeah.
And purdy is a West Texas word.
By God.
The name of my next door neighbour's dog.
And whatever happens, don't go back to the thin part.
Y'all heard that. Once you go thin, don't go back.
Exactly.
You know, I mean. Now, some people talk about, you know, ribbons and stuff coming off when you cut, but that really depends on the wood, doesn't it?
This wood is really dry. This is more like dust that's coming off of this.
Yeah.
What you've got to be careful of when you're doing a turning like this is that because you're cutting in and out of the wood, you'll have different grain orientation in the wood.
Yeah.
So you could have end grain 1 second and then the side grain another, and obviously that makes a difference on how your tool reacts. So you could be cutting through a piece of end grain that's quite hard and then hit soft, and it will make the tool just shoot across the piece. So you have to be very controlled in your tool work.
Yeah, that was a perfect way to work it, because some people will get, and I'm speaking from experience, if you get too aggressive, that can carry over into the softer part of it, and you're screwed.
Exactly.
What type of wood was this again?
I'm thinking that it's mahogany because it's quite hard and dusty, and it's got that. Do you know that distinctive musky mahogany smell? I don't know if your mahogany is the same as our mahogany.
It almost has a pepper smell to it.
Yeah.
Or musty, if you want to call it that.
And you can see they're starting to kind of, best way to describe it, it looked like a shield.
Yeah.
You actually end up getting hands like leather. You get used to the heat of the wood hitting them.
Jim Dockrell is asking, is it real mahogany or the African stuff?
I think this is real mahogany.
Real mahogany.
Okay, so now we'll get real fancy. Oh, the other thing I wanted to say as well was never, ever, ever, ever use a roughing gouge on face plate work on flat wood like a bowl, because I'll show you with the big, you see the wings on that?
Yeah, that's a big puppy.
Yeah, if that hits in, that's going to do quite a bad mess of the piece, but also it'll probably pull the wrist from your arm.
Ouch.
So now I'm using my little 1/4 inch bowl gouge, and this is going to do some real fine details in this part here, and we're going to put some little you might start seeing some ribbons on this, because this is extremely sharp, this one.
Yeah.
And we're going to put some little beads. And what I've kind of decided I want it to look like is, if it was flat on the table, best way to describe it is I want it to look as if you've dropped a drip of water into the center and it's pulled out.
That is an awesome idea, and I can see that happening. Damn it, I should have sent you an email.
I did, but the email I sent him, I think I'm going to be disqualified.
Is it sending more love to me, is it, JP?
As always.
Sterling Davis is saying, how about you build a tool stand and get them off the floor? Respect your tools, man.
This isn't my full-time shed. This is only the small shed at the back of my house. I have a proper tool stand in my big shop.
You just have to take his word for it, Sterling.
My actual workshop is an old cottage. It's actually the house that my wife grew up in.
Oh wow!
It's no longer habitable. It's about, I think it's about 80 years old, 80 or 90 years old, and it needs more work than we can afford or anyone can afford to do.
Katie, the email you sent was trying to win what he's making.
Yes. They'll all be asking for the emails back.
I would love to win that, dagnabbit. Well, thanks a lot, Chris Nealon.
Now, a shameless plug for tomorrow evening, if I may.
Absolutely.
On the Rob and Steve Uncut and Live, we are going to be covering a very controversial and not very spoken about topic, and we're going to be covering depression and how it affects people.
Absolutely.
So if you all want to jump in on that and listen and take part and give us your experiences, then that would be appreciated.
I can definitely relate to depression.
And part 3 of your USA trip.
Yes, and part 3 of the USA trip. Now you can see the light shining off the different angles of that. It's
And
kind of
that is gorgeous. Now, in
cool
my
looking.
defense, that no longer looked like a plate you would eat off of. So, so
exactly.
okay, so I don't look as silly as I did earlier. So that is gorgeous. So I love that. The grain really complements it too.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a centerpiece on it. So it's just, we'll just clean up.
Dave Hart. Well, Katie Dawson said, "What show is this?" Dave Hart wants to know where to find the show. You were just
JP, do
talking.
you mind putting
I'll go and post the links in there.
Thank you.
It's
Okay.
called the Rob and Steve Show. Rob and Steve Live and Uncut.
Uncut and live, yeah. Uncut and live.
Yeah.
Rob and Steve Uncut and Live or something
Yeah.
like that. I'll read it out once it's in the chat.
So basically, it's just a YouTube channel that we've set up that only does a live show every Saturday, and it's unmonetized. So we've done it so that anything goes. You can say, do whatever you want. So we're not going to be worried about bad language and stuff like that. And the whole point is that you don't be afraid to say what you feel. And I just think there's a lot of stuff out there that needs to be spoken about that never does get spoken about.
Absolutely, and I assume since it's called Rob and Steve that y'all are the only two on the actual panel.
No, we do. We had Eloy on last Saturday as a special guest, and JP is actually our next special guest. Not that he knows it yet, but he is.
I was gonna say, if you ever have an open panel, I'd love to participate. I can relate to depression, but
well, to be honest with you,
to
be honest with you, if you join in tomorrow and you have suffered with depression or know someone that suffered with depression, you're quite welcome to jump on and give us your experience in that. We're going to have a pretty open discussion. Yeah.
Okay. Katie Dodson is wanting to know what time. And
okay,
go ahead.
So it's 9:30 our time. So we were working this out earlier, weren't we? How many hours did we say?
Yeah, so that would make it 4:30 Eastern.
4:30 Eastern. That would be 5:30 Central.
Okay. Right. So I just want to show you this cool little tool here that I'm about to use.
Okay. While you're doing that, Sterling is saying, "Could you off-center turn for more contour?"
Yes, it could. You could do. Yes, exactly, Sterling. If you put a mortise rather than a tenon on the back of this, then you could actually orientate it slightly different in the chuck. You can just put it off angle slightly, and you can put these so that they're slightly off center, so it will look like they're all different angles, and that does look cool. I haven't actually got a piece here that I've done that with, but yes, exactly right. You can do that. So this tool here is called a Wagner texturing tool, and it's just a wheel that spins on a bearing.
Oh wow! Is that how you did the on that tube you held up? Is that?
No,
Oh.
that's actually pierced. But what this will do, it'll put twirls and spirals and things in the piece. So I'm just I'll demonstrate it here. I'm not sure how it will show up on the dark wood, but we'll see. We'll give it a
Donna, you might be right. Donna says it's 3:30 Central. My brain isn't working full force right now. Yes, that would be 3:30 Central and 4:30 Eastern for Rob and Steve.
I'm not sure if you can see that texture there. See, can I get it to show up a bit better?
Now, is this strictly for texture, or is there any turning benefit to it, or is it strictly for look?
It's just for aesthetics, yeah.
Okay.
And depending on what angle you turn it at, the different kind of spiral effect you get.
Hey, Dave Hart just subscribed. Al Forte just subscribed. Jim Doctoral just subscribed, and I just subscribed.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm chatting on Facebook with an old high school friend. I'm inviting him to come over. Maybe he'll subscribe too.
And Donna just subscribed.
That's awesome. Thank you. So I don't know if I can get the camera to zoom in on that. I'll just see.
I like the fact that y'all aren't monetizing, you know, because sometimes you feel obligated to stay within a certain parameters, and it says a lot about, without having even watched one episode, it says a lot about y'all that you're willing to leave it open like that. But yeah, I'm seeing good detail in the middle there.
Yeah, so it's spiraled.
That's awesome.
Let me just turn the light on there. It might show it a bit better.
All right. Actually, in a way, that sort of hit it, but yeah, when you move it around, you can see the little shadows. That is neat. Reminds me of one of those.
It puts spirals. Yeah. So there's two types of spirals I've got there now. So what I want to do now is I want to just take the skew, the little tiny skew that I have. It's just a 1/4 inch skew, and then I want to define between the two spirals, and it's just a matter of putting a groove in between where one
a little
finishes.
separation. Okay. Yeah, spirograph, Dave Hart. That's what I was thinking of. Reminds me of the toy we had when we were in my generation. It was called the spirograph.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a damn nice toy.
I wish they still made that, man. They might. Hell, I don't know. I haven't looked for toys. That's beautiful, man.
That's what you do there.
That is definitely a good example of the natural grains in the wood complementing it, because it adds dimension to those ripples.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's gonna look real good on my wall when I get them back up.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a shame nobody else is gonna get it, because I'm gonna.
Are you going to scarf it up, Charles? Is that what you were to say?
I started it too bad, but I didn't want to get a bad I didn't want to get a bad reputation or a rumor started, but you know, he's going to give it away live on the air. So I didn't send an email, so I will not be winning it.
Oh, I knew
you will get one very similar though, Charles. I promise you that.
So. I love you, Steve, sir.
He said that about my pens, and I didn't get them.
Excuse me, JP, if you tell everyone what you did with your pens. Then...
Yeah, I ended up donating them. So somebody else got them.
Well, I might be a little more greedy with it, because I've never gotten something like this from somebody, so I might be greedy and keep it. Not this one, because this one's being given away tonight.
When I'm making things like this, once I've had the pleasure of turning it and sharing it, I give it away. You know, I don't make money on this. I never am going to get rich on this. So, you know, why shouldn't I just share the stuff? You know. So there you go. Yeah. So that's that. Now, what I want to do now, just quickly, and then we'll finish it up. It looks okay like that, but then if you start adding a little bit of detail with a skew like this.
TJ's Woodworking has finally decided to join us.
It defines each of the coves.
That is gorgeous, man.
And there's just one last thing I want to do around the side. I actually got a lot more done than I thought I would on this, because I thought it was going to be really hard. Just on the edge here, I want to put, it's the finer things that count with these pieces. When you're doing an art piece that's going to be on the wall, this is just my own personal preference. I like it to look purdy, as we call it.
Yeah, museum quality. Yeah.
From every angle that you look at it. So if you were to stand at the edge of the wall and look straight down to the side of the piece, I want it to look nice as well.
Yeah, you don't want to have flaws on one part and perfect on another.
Yeah, so I'm putting just, I'll show you in a second when I move the camera. And I'll show you what that looks like. I'll move the camera up. Ooh. Oh, sorry, making you feel pukey. I'll zoom that out in a second and move it across. Yeah. Oh, wrong way.
Donna's saying, I think I might have a future Turner on my hands. Is somebody there watching it with you, Donna?
So I don't know if you can see the edges there. Because it's a dark wood, it is quite hard to... Oh, I'm going the wrong way again.
Yeah, my granddaughter, Lucy, she's 3, and she was sitting here watching, and she says she wants to put that on her wall.
Oh, hell, way to suck up, Donna. Damn!
But
I almost feel like that happened.
whenever she told me that, I told her I can't do that yet, and she just looked at me and went, "Oh."
So you damn near got my heartstrings. Don't do that.
Yeah, you didn't see the look on her face when I told her I couldn't do that yet.
I'll just show you. I'll show you what this looks like up close. So I don't know. Yeah, so that's what it looks like at the front. Obviously, there's going to be some piercing and carving around the side there, which will give it a different 3-dimensional look around the side. It's not sanded yet, but the tool finish isn't bad. And then at the side, I don't know if you can see that, but I've put grooves along the sides as well, so it looks nice from the side as well.
Yeah, it definitely adds dimension into each ripple.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. There's a Templeboy Turnings original wall.
Very gorgeous. Do you want to do the drawing, or did you have something else you wanted to say or do?
No, I'm just going to swap it over to the other camera and go over here and clean off my laptop. I will change the camera and put my ugly mug back up.
Well, if they can take mine, they can take yours. There he is.
Okie dokie. So let me go over to the emails and I will write them quickly on a piece of paper.
Okay.
So I'll read them out as I'm writing them.
Donna's saying in the chat that when you quit turning, her little granddaughter left.
Oh, okay.
You destroyed a little girl's life right there.
So we have Joe Ruder, is it, or Rudder? We have Katie Dodson, sorry. We have Mac One Leg.
That is Kim McCrory.
Okay, Mac.
I only know because he sent me a mankini picture that I was not sure how to take. Go ahead.
We have Jamie Page. That's not very nice, Jamie, what you said, but you still have the word in it, so I'll count it.
Yes, Sterling says you're reading the emails live. Censor button ready.
We have Jim.
Dockerel.
Jamie, stop sending me emails and put me off. That just made everything move there. Jim Bashirs.
Behave yourself, Jamie.
Jamie got in trouble.
We have Donna.
Usually he invites these sort of pictures.
Is it a good excuse that I was too busy hosting the show to send an email? I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
I didn't send one because I didn't think I could. Man, I feel left out now.
Well, you missed the...
Yeah. I remember hearing it. I thought, oh well.
I tell you what I'm going to do. Just out of because it's the Irish side of me, and we're very kind here in Ireland. I'm going to give the count of 30 seconds for anyone that hasn't joined to quickly send the email, starting from.
Wait. Let me get the email address again.
Now.
Just in case
it's on my name. It's underneath me right there.
I mean, if for some reason they can't see that, I'll read it out loud.
Okay, JP.
Competition@gmail.com.
Yes. So you're ready. 30.
Wait.
20. 29.
Do what you talking
28. 27.
Wait. wait. It's not loaded yet.
26, 25,
I hate you.
24,
Count slower.
23,
My page isn't
22,
loading. Slower.
21, 20,
Halftime. Slow.
19, 18,
Go slower.
17,
No.
16,
Go slower. No.
15,
No. My damn page won't load.
14,
I'm gonna
13,
shoot somebody in the lip. Come on now. Slow
12,
down.
11, 10,
What, Temple?
9,
Boy. Turning.
7,
Competition
6,
at gmail.com.
5,
Wait, damn it, I can't spell.
4,
Hi.
3,
Send.
2,
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
1, half, 1/4, 1/8, 0. Ring your bell, Charles. Ring your bell.
It's just lagging. It's just lagging.
Oh,
Man, I could not get my stupid.
David, you just got it in there. Oh,
I could not get my stupid email page to load. It was dragging.
whatever.
Did mine get in there? Did mine make it?
Funny enough, Charles.
It didn't,
No.
did it?
No.
Oh, bloody hell.
Mine didn't either, did it?
And y'all heard my struggle. Y'all heard me trying to do this.
I'll tell you the last 2 seconds was OJ.
Thanks, OJ. You probably stopped mine from coming in.
And OJ and David Hart just got in there the last second, or last 1/8 of a second.
Oh, man.
So OJ, David, Chris, Robert, Jamie, Donna, Mac, Katie, Joe. If you have entered,
Russ Meadows says you haven't said his name yet, but you might have spelled it wrong.
I sent it.
You might have spelled it wrong.
Hold on to your horses. Don't panic. I'm going to go into the junk mail because sometimes it will go into the spam and junk.
And that's bad because Russ Meadows is a mailman.
Yeah.
That is bad.
I sent it right after Donna spoke up.
Yeah, don't trust him. He delivers bills.
I'm going to go back and watch the show and crack up because y'all could hear me panicking trying to get my page to load and type. And it said message sent before he got to 1, but it obviously didn't get to him in time.
Yeah, Russ delivers bad news.
So the emails I have 10 entries, and I'm going to put random numbers.
Oh, well. Guess we didn't get in there in time.
While you're doing that, Steve, right?
Hello,
I've actually got a question for you.
Oh yeah.
Right. As you know, the first time we ever met was at the UK and Ireland Wood Turning Symposium.
Yeah.
Right. I would like you to tell everybody. What is the deal with this picture?
Well, I gotta.
Hold on. I haven't got the screen open at the second. Give me 1 second now.
Oh my goodness. Does that need to be censored, Charles?
No, yeah.
Yes.
That is long.
I will.
That's a block of wood there with Carl's sticker on it.
Well, I was telling Jamie as long as he didn't use any dirty words, he could show the picture.
I got confused and thought it was lunch.
Okay.
He thought it was a baguette.
Okay. Impressive.
It
has a Carl Jacobson sticker, so
I'm kind of speechless, but I'll say impressive.
I can actually tell you the story. Just before that picture, Carl Jacobson actually sent me a picture of him and Robin eating some, I don't know what you call them over there. They're like sausages wrapped in batter, like battered sausages on a stick.
Corn dog.
Eating a corn dog in that sort of pose. And me and Steve thought it'd be funny to take a picture and take the mickey and send it back to him.
Right, I'm gonna read out the entrance. There's 11 in total. Okay. So there are 11. Let me cancel out of there now. There is Joe Aruda, whatever your name is. Katie Dotson. Matt. Who did you say Mac was? Mac one.
That is Ken McCrory.
Ken. I just right. Okay. We have Jamie Page, Jim Bashirs, Donna, Robert, Austin, Chris, David Hart, OJ, and Sterling.
That means Russ Meadows spelled something wrong.
It went through. Wherever it went in at 7:51. So wherever it went, it's gone.
I can, if
the hell.
Yeah. So let me just check that.
It's got to go over the sea.
Well, I'm laughing because last time I did a giveaway, every time I had named off a name, or you could hear Russ in the background going, "Damn it!"
Oh, you remember that, huh?
Yeah.
Right. Let me go over to a randomizer, and then I shall do a screen share.
Alrighty then.
See
you later, TJ. Thank you for stopping in, sir.
I take it I'm still there. I am, yes. Good. That's okay. Right. Alrighty then. Random number.
If you were wanting to screen share, you're not sharing yet. Just letting you know in case you thought you were.
No, that's okay. No, I was just hiding all the nude pictures of you.
Oh, baby, stop. They need to be hidden much better.
Okay, so let me go to screen share. And share. Is that working?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm going to read out the numbers that I have next to all the names, just so that you know what I have written here. Okay. So number 1 is Joe Aruda. Number 2 is Donna Woodnart. Number 3 is OJ. Number 4 is David Hart. Number 5 is Katie Dotson. Number 6 is Jim Bashirs. Number 7 is Ken, Mac one leg. Number 8 is Robert Austin. Number 9 is Chris. Number 10 is Jamie Page. And number 11 is Sterling. Okay? So you know your numbers. So I'm going to go up here, change that 1 to 11. Okay? Everyone happy with that?
I'm not, but go ahead.
And we're going to hit it. Boom.
Here we go.
Number 5 is the winner.
Katie Dotson, right?
There you go. Katie Dotson. Got it.
Katie Dotson is our winner.
There you go.
Congratulations, Katie Dotson.
I will take that off screen sharing 1 second.
Okay, the panel is showing now, so if y'all cry, everybody will be able to see it.
Okay, maybe I won't take it off screen sharing.
Sterling's just saying all that for nothing. Unsubscribe.
Okay, congratulations, Katie Licious.
So I will just show you that. Can you see the numbers there, just to show you that I'm not?
Yes.
And I just randomly put numbers. I didn't put them in order either. I just randomly put numbers 1 to 11.
I believe you're a trustworthy person, and you just.
So there you go. Well done, Katie. I think you're friends with me on Facebook. If not, just send your address to the same email that you just sent that to.
Or send him my address.
Your full email address to me, and Charles, send me your full address as well. You have a little something coming to you as well.
Oh, money! I'm just kidding.
I'm just gonna pour myself another cup of coffee quickly before everyone.
Yeah, you haven't had a chance to drink during the. That is made by Chad Grossclaws of Mancrafting YouTube channel and mancraftingtm.com. Another website from
Mancrafting mug.
Another website by Harnell Media.
Cheers.
I hate to say it, but I'm very happy for Katie. And now Sterling says he has to go turn his own. I don't even know what
they're a very simple project, and they're actually a really good practice piece. If you want to get practicing returning coves and beads and doing texturing and all that, you can just put your flat piece up and do one of those, and it doesn't matter how it turns out. It's still a piece of art. It's yours, and you created it. So. And
you made it beautifully. So I will, round of applause. Notice I was the only one that clapped.
You're the only one that has the clap.
Okay. you try to give a fella a compliment. Okay, we went for.
I can't give him a clap. It's easy to do.
We went for about 2 hours, so I think I will. Katie says she cannot dance. Are you kidding me? Is what she says, but she's excited as hell out in the chat. Thank you for everybody that joined the chat. There was way too many for me to remember all the names, so I don't want to leave anybody out. We got 23 watching now. This time I will hit stop broadcast instead of my thumbnail, so I'm not sitting here for 5 minutes pointing saying scroll on. But thank you for everybody watching. I personally enjoyed the hell out of that project. You can't say hell on my channel, but Wurzel001 says night all. Steve, catch you tomorrow.
Cool.
No, Steve, I'll talk to you about it after the show. Somebody's got an echo, but appreciate everybody watching. I hope y'all will follow all the links that were talked about. Harneal Media, Steve Nealon says, good job, Steve.
Can I just say one thing before you go, Charles?
Absolutely.
I have a Facebook page called Templeboy Turnings. If you go and find that on Facebook, and if you go and like the page, I think about 4 likes off of 1,000 likes. Once I get to 1,000 likes, I'm going to do a live wood turning on my Facebook page, and then I'm also going to give that piece away as well. So
awesome!
If you're a subscriber or you have liked my page, you will be in with a chance of winning that piece.
That is Templeboy Turnings. I keep looking over here instead of the camera. Templeboy Turnings on Facebook.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Many million thanks to taking the time to do what you did, and it was a gorgeous project. Everybody's telling me good show. Thank you for that, and good night, everybody. Appreciate you watching, and by God, even though we watch a turning show, you still got to scroll on.